It's been a long time since I went to the beach. I don't know how many years it's been. The beach, you go and you fight the crowd. This is just me speaking. And you get sunburned. And then someone suggests, let's have lunch on the beach. And the lunch is kind of gritty with the sand. And then we get home all sunburned and tired and grouchy and say, wow, let's plan on doing that again next year, right? And so for me, going to the beach is kind of a crazy experience. I mean, as I remember it, you get there early and you put a blanket out so you have a great view of the ocean. And a little while, not too much time after that, someone comes and sets up in front of you, right? So that's one thing. They put up a tent or they put up an umbrella. And then, for me, if I'm on the beach, I have fishing lines. So you throw your fishing lines out, and some kids with a Frisbee starts running through them. You know? And so, don't those kids understand what I'm doing is important? I'm catching fish for the family. So the beach experience is kind of crazy. I'm more a person that wants to be on the water rather than in the water. So here's some sights on the water that I've taken with my phone. That's at Love Point, and that's on the Chesapeake Bay. One of the pictures was from my boat underneath the Bay Bridge. That's early morning. I always go out early in the morning. There I am, out on the Bay Bridge, and there we are underneath in 100 foot of water underneath the Bay Bridge. But the thing is, whenever I am on the ocean or on the bay or even along the shoreline, there is this sense of awe for me that God is so much bigger than I am, and I am so small to how big God is. I mean, it's just an awesome feeling I have that never goes away. When we read the Bible, we see that God has this thing with water. Have you noticed that? Has this thing with water. Last night at the coffee house, we had Noah show up. Noah showed up to tell us about his conversation with God. If you ever saw the Bill Cosby skit of Noah and God, that was kind of, so we thank you all for doing that skit. And there was that argument. But anyway, Noah was told to build a boat in an area that got no rain, right? A humongous boat. And Noah even said it was the size of 3 football fields, but there was no football in that time. He was really a smart guy. So God used water. God used water to save the Israelites as they passed through the water that was changed. Jesus was baptized in the water Jordan. So it's not surprising that Jesus has these important encounters and conversations with people along the shoreline. It was on the shoreline that God invites the first disciples to come. You see, God's story is bigger than their story, and God's story is bigger than our story. He invites us, as he invited the disciples, to come and to be a part of his story. He asked us to let him bring our lives into him so our lives are intertwined with him. Our lives become intertwined. We begin this morning. I want to read with you in a moment from the Gospel of Matthew. And in Matthew, it takes us back a little further. Jesus is baptized in water by John the Baptist in the Jordan River. And let me just say, if you haven't been baptized, you need to get in the water. You need to get in the water. That's all there is to that. You need to be in the water. Jesus is in the baptismal waters of the Jordan, and afterwards he spends 40 days in the wilderness, and from there he launches his earthly ministry. And he camps out in a little village called Capernaum, and it has about 1,500 people. It's just a small little village. It's along a shoreline. The village is a major trade route of people of all different types coming and going. And because it's such an important location that day, Jesus kind of makes that his headquarters. And so it is a fishing market. It is a frontier post along the Sea of Galilee. It becomes Jesus' hometown. It is the home of fishermen called Peter, James, and John. That is their homes, and also the tax collector Matthew. It is there that Jesus in Capernaum teaches in the synagogue, where he teaches, makes deep impressions into the local people. It is in the same synagogue in this town that Jesus promises the Eucharist when he says, "I am the bread of life. Very truly I tell you, unless you eat of this bread and drink of this blood, you will have no life." It is there Jesus heals all these people and drives out people possessed with demons. Now, let me just jump over to Matthew a second. Jesus has been baptized by John. That's in chapter 3. I'm going to begin here in chapter 4 of Matthew, then I'll jump around. Then Jesus, after he was baptized, was led up by the Spirit into the wilderness, where he was tempted by the devil. He fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, and afterward he was famished. The tempter came and said to him, "If you are the Son of God, command these stones to become loaves of bread." But he answered, "It is written, one does not live by bread alone, but every word that comes from the mouth of God." And let me skip along again. Again, the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their splendors. And he said to them, "All these I will give you if you will fall down and worship me." And Jesus said to him, "Away with you, Satan. For it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve him only." And then the devil left him. And suddenly the angels came and awaited him. Now here's where we're getting to the calling. Now when Jesus heard that John had been arrested, he withdrew to Galilee. He left Nazareth and made his home in Capernaum. This is where the calling all begins. As Jesus walked by the Sea of Galilee, he saw two brothers, Simon, who is now called Peter, and Andrew, his brother, casting a net in the sea. Alan, that's why me thinks it may be a net like this that they're casting in the sea. They were fishermen, and he said to them, "Follow me, and I will make you fish for people." And immediately they left their nets and followed him. And he went from there. He saw two brothers, James the son of Zebedee and his brother John, in the boat with their father Zebedee, mending their nets, and he called out to them. Immediately they left their boats and their father and followed them. It's not always the most glorious day when Christ calls. And maybe it gets easier as time goes on. I know of a lot of people who have been called. I know of a lot of people who have said yes. I know the struggles of living out the call. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, a German Lutheran who was hung by Hitler, said before he died in his writings, when Christ calls us, he calls us to come and die. Do you get that? And he goes on to talk about, what do you think it means to take up your cross? A cross means, in Jesus' day, one thing, that it's to kill. Jesus is calling us to die of our old selves and to put on to new. When Jesus says, love your enemies, there's a likelihood that as you are loving your enemies, they are going to be doing what to you? There's a high likelihood that they are not going to be loving you back, but he says to do that anyway. I don't know why Peter and Andrews and James and John followed Jesus. I don't know if they were just tired of fishing. if they thought there was a better retirement plan with Jesus, if they just said, I'm tired of working for my father, phooey with it, I'm going to go do something else. Or maybe they just liked this guy the way he looked. Anyway, something happened. The gospel doesn't tell us why, but apparently it wasn't hard for them to be convinced. Jesus says, follow me, and they did. What I suspect happened is that Jesus captured their hearts. Otherwise, they wouldn't have done it. I suspect the reason why you're here, and you may say it's because I've come to see this, or I come to do that, or I come to make sure this happens, but I suspect that the reason why you're here Sunday after Sunday is that Jesus has captured your hearts. So I want you to think about that. Jesus has captured your hearts. Jesus begins his earthly ministries, and he doesn't plan on being alone. Do you get that? From the very beginning, God plans to partner with human beings to spread his love through Jesus Christ to the ends of the world. He wants to use us. And here's what's really interesting, particularly for me, is Jesus begins this march to the cross with two ordinary brothers. I mean, they're just ordinary. They're just ordinary people. I mean, I relate with that. You know, I was called to be baptized at 16. I remember that very well, being baptized. And that was it. I became a youth pastor. I was helping the pastor. I was doing all that stuff. And then out of the blue, I am called into the ministry. But here's what happened before that. I had been through 6 months of a police academy. The federal government and the state of Maryland has put thousands of dollars into me. I have been very well trained as an accident investigator, as a SWAT team officer, criminal investigator. I was a certified police instructor for the state of Maryland. I taught crime prevention. I taught officer survival. I taught boxing and self-defense. I was a distinguished expert with the pistol. I was a highly trained police officer. Thousands of dollars have been spent on me. Thousands of dollars. And I was well rewarded for all of that. I enjoyed police work, and out of the blue, my pastor handed me a little book that's called Christian as Minister and said, read that. I want to talk to you about this next Sunday after church. I like little books because when I finished high school, I couldn't read. I'm not proud of it, it's just the fact it was. You know, I learned I had dyslexia, and so I began learning to read as a police officer. And I met a guy by the name of Dr. McLeod at Hart Community College, and he's the one who taught me how to read. And the wonderful things about him, he didn't hand me a textbook, so let's read this. He says, what are you interested in? And I said, well, I'm interested in sports, I'm interested in horses. He handed me a book about raising Morgan horses. He said, let's talk about the first chapter next week. That's how he taught me. Even today, I don't read for fun. I don't. Leslie sits there and just reads a book and totally engrossed. I don't read for fun. I read several hours every day for necessity because I have to, and I read like this. If you watch our kids read, they read like this. That's not me. I read like this. I have dyslexia. If I don't go any faster, I'll start reading backwards and so forth. So I'm an ordinary guy, highly trained as a police officer, making a really good salary, and God calls me to go to do something I only vaguely knows what it's about. All I know about the ordained ministry is what Reverend McNally has told me, and some of it I didn't like at all. So it meant for a young person who struggles with education, and why I ever graduated from high school, I have no idea. I guess they just wanted to get rid of me. To go and get a master's degree in divinity, which would cost $50,000. I didn't have $50,000. an ordinary guy. And Reverend McNally said, just walk in faith. Just trusting God. Just trust God. You know, it was the craziest thing in the world. When I think about that right now, that's just complete craziness. Complete craziness. We had a sick kid. It meant losing health insurance. It meant going in debt. It meant leaving a job that paid really good money to... It's just craziness. This week I reconnected with Roy. Roy went through the police academy with me. I haven't talked to him in 20-some years or more. And I said to him, I said, Roy, what have you been doing? He says, well, I retired at 45. I said, at 45, you retired? Well, the state of Maryland, for a police officer, you get 25-year retirement. I said, what have you been doing? He says, whatever I want. The state of Maryland has been paying him. I could have been retired now for 20 years. You know, it was a financial car wreck. A financial car wreck. How in the world am I going to do 101 credits of a Master's of Divinity, God? How in the world? And the message of Reverend McNally constantly was, walk in faith. Just walk in faith. You see, here's the message from the readings today. God is looking for ordinary people. Folks, don't ever put me on the pedestal. This is the highest I get. I am not highly educated. I'm not super smart. The only gift I really have is persistence and impatience. They're my two qualities. I am not a patient person, but if you tell me I can't do it, I will do it. Jesus said, I will make you fishers of men. And here's the thing we have talked about often. When God calls you and you give your life to Christ, God empowers you. He empowers you to do what He calls you to do. He empowered me never to get a grade less than a B in graduate work ever. He empowered me. He got me through seminary. You want to know how much debt I had when I finished seminary? Anybody want to guess? Zero. Because churches and godly people paid for it for me. On the shoreline of the Sea of Galilee, Jesus saw ordinary people, people with hard hands and cut hands and calloused hands and dark skin from the effects of the sun, and He calls them. Here's what's really interesting, and I just thought about this week, was He didn't look for people praying. Do you notice that? He didn't look for people reading the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible. He didn't go to the synagogue to find them. He wasn't looking for people in religious activities. He was looking for people doing their best work in their employment. Ordinary fishermen. Now, when I call myself a fisherman, and Alan, I imagine when you call yourself a fisherman, it wasn't like these fishermen, right? I had to come to Alan this morning and say, make sure I knew I was calling this right. This is a throw net. We use it once in a while to catch bait. These men were using nets like this every day. Every day. They lived in a fishing community. They caught fish. They sold fish. They processed fish. That was what they were doing. They smelled like fish. That's what they were doing. They smelled like fish. It's not like me or Alan. We take 2 rods, get on the boat, go out for 2 hours, say, wow, we had a great day of fishing. It wasn't that at all. And if we catch a couple fish, we bring them home like we're something special. No, these guys are out hardcore, hardworking, selling, catching fish. These are real people. These are people, hard-working people. And Jesus didn't look on their wall and say, oh, wow, you have a master's degree and you went to Johns Hopkins. They didn't look for that. He didn't say, let me see your resume. He didn't say, here, take this IQ test, right? He just says, come and follow me. That's what He said. I had a teacher who said to me, you need to do your very best work every day. Because if you can't do your best work as a student, how will you do it as an adult? These men were doing their very best thoughts, very best work. And God noticed it. God messes with me. Does he mess with you? Huh? Does he mess with you on things? I mean, is that even right to say he messes with you? You know, when I was being examined to be ordained, I kind of said that. I said, God messes with me. And Dr. Zepp shook his head, yeah. He said, I know exactly what you mean. Thank God somebody knows what that means, that he messes. He invades our thoughts. Here's the thing. This is what I believe. God is calling you. If you are a believer in Jesus Christ, God is calling you. I believe that. He is calling you. Well, I want you to think about it. Let me go, well, not me. Okay. All right, you can say it all you want. It doesn't change what I'm using the I language. I believe if you say, I am a believer in Jesus Christ, God is calling you. That is my belief. He is calling you. I'm not saying he's calling you to be crazy and do crazy things like I did and quit your job and go to seminary. I'm not saying he's calling that. I'm saying he's calling you. God, through Jesus Christ, is lurking for leaders for the kingdom. And are you willing to give God your heart and your thoughts and be a leader for the kingdom? Are you willing to do that? You see, I believe many people are called, but not many people answer yes to the call. What God is calling for us as leaders of his kingdom is to look at how we think. Remember, our thoughts lead to our feelings, and our feelings lead to our actions. Make sure our thoughts are right. Sometimes we think things and they are not correct, and people are hurt. If we are going to be leaders for Jesus, it starts with self-leadership, meaning we take a hard look at ourselves. Am I living a life that is pleasing to you, O God? And it means everything. I mean, how we care for ourselves, how we care for our family, how we talk, how we think, how we use our money, how we drive. Please, if you drive on 97, take the cross off the back of your car if you're the guy weaving in and out of traffic. Please. It does not suit us well as Christian people. Please. Is God messing with you? If you're a believer in Jesus Christ, you are called to be a leader in your home. Men, don't look down. You are called to be a leader in your home. You are called to be the spiritual leader of your home. I don't never met a woman yet, and maybe one of you will say, no, I don't want that, who would not want their husband to be the spiritual leader of the family. I have yet to meet a woman who says, I would not love that to be. You are called to be a leader, to provide the presence of Jesus Christ in your home. God is calling you to do that. He's calling you to know the Bible and to know the message and to be a prayer warrior and to lead your family. And ladies, you're not off the hook either. You are also called to be a leader in your home with special gifts and nurturing. If you're a believer in Jesus Christ, that is part of your calling. Now, Leslie may have thought, raising 6 kids that, well, I'm married to a pastor that got me off the hook. And I may have thought I'm married to a school teacher, so that kind of gets me off the hook. It doesn't. Together, we are called to lead our family in Jesus Christ. Together. Now, I know a bunch of us here are retired. I get that. And I don't know where you hang out in retirement. But I'll just use work to just cover everything. Whether you're a volunteer fireman or wherever you hang out, you are called to be a leader there. You know, it doesn't take much to turn the workplace into a negative place and a negative experience. You know, people in general loves drama. We love gossip. We love to hear juicy little things. Have you all seen the latest Geico commercial? Did you see that with a little muskrat standing up? Did you hear? Did you hear? Did you hear? All right. I said, oh my goodness, I should have brought that in for today. Jesus is calling you as a believer to be his presence at work or at play or wherever, that you be the positive influence in that place. He's asking you to step up and to be his presence. Refuse to think the worst of one another. Refuse to be part of a joke and bullying. Refuse to be drawn into drama. Refuse to spread gossip. Be the encourager. Be the positive influence. Bring kindness wherever you go, so that your place of work or play is an atmosphere that is pleasing to God. That is what he's doing. He's not asking you to be the pastor and do that. He's asking you to be his presence. Here's the, I don't have any water. Okay. Let me ask you this question. First of all, our son-in-law is a pastor, so when he comes for dinner now, we say, Walt gets to pray, because it's Pastor Walt. Why is the pastor the one that prays all the time? Right? Everywhere I go, well, the pastor's here, you'll pray. Doesn't God want to hear from all you? Huh? Doesn't he? You know the old saying, I'm paid to be good and you all are good for nothing, right? God calls you to be the leader. I mean, I just can't help but think that what might be moved, instead of calling on the pastor at every setting to be the prayer, if you just said, I'll pray, and speak from your heart to God. That's what Jesus is doing. He is calling ordinary people, that's me, and that's you, to do extraordinary things. And that is to be a leader for him. To be a leader in your home, first of all. Your number one ministry is to your family. If you can't minister to your family, you're going to have trouble ministering to anyone else. Be a leader in your family. Number two, be a leader at work. A little Jesus sprinkled across the across the computer could make a world of difference. You see, these disciples were on the other side of the Bible. They didn't know the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And I would imagine that on that shoreline that Jesus was walking, there were hundreds of fishermen. I'd imagine there were hundreds of fishermen. I don't know how many said no, or how many said maybe tomorrow, or how many said that's absolutely crazy, or how many said go away, get away from me, crazy man, I don't know you. I imagine hundreds were there, many were probably asked, and a few said yes. Are you a part of the few to say yes to Jesus? Would you say yes to Jesus about self-leadership? Would you say yes to Jesus about being God's man in your family and God's woman in your family? And would you say yes to Jesus at your place of work? That you put on the clothing of Jesus Christ and you wear that into any situation that he calls you. And just maybe, he calls you to quit your job and go to seminary and to become an ordained minister. I don't know what he's calling you to do. I just believe that God is calling you to be a leader in his kingdom. And I plant that upon your thinking. And I'll pray for you as you discern that thought. Amen.